You own the land that your house is on. I thought you stay in a neighborhood.
I do own the land that my house is on. Yeah, I own the land in the neighborhood.
Is it like a new construction neighborhood?
New construction. I own the land. I bought the land.
Oh, gotcha.
Bought the house.
Yeah.
Bought all them bills that come with it. Bro, speaking of that, man. So I've been listening to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, listening, reading, whatever you want to call it. And he says that a house is not an asset.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree right now, especially. Now, it's a fact because an asset is something that makes you money. Liability is something that you have to pay, that takes money away. So I pay on that mortgage every time, every month, every time it comes around. And I haven't made any money on my house. Hasn't appreciated. It hasn't depreciated, but it hasn't appreciated. And it's hurting my pockets every month. So I have to agree with Robert, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He opened my eyes to something. Boy, I'm telling you, bro, I said this before. If you don't go get you that little duplex and rent out the other side and live in the other side, man, and have them pay the rent, because y'all are fresh, y'all, you know.
I might go do that in OKC.
Listen, learn from my mistakes.
I don't know.
Telling you, that's the way to do it, dog. Yeah, move back to OKC because my other Jeremiah left me. Jeremiah Cradell, he got a job at USF playing, GA, and so I always need Jeremiah with me. I have my little brother Jeremiah, Jeremiah, and I had you. Yeah, he going to USF. He left today, 7 a.m.
Hey, kudos to him, bro, because I couldn't be no coach.
Not my dog Crib, man.
Yeah. Man, look, he told me, he said, when you go open something, call me back, please. He said, I'm gonna do something different. I said, but Coach Craig.
So many people was like, J.R., why don't you coach? My dad keep pressing me, bro. You're like, why don't you coach? Why don't you go to South Carolina? Da, 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 da. And I'm like, you saw us on Saturdays and only Saturdays. You ain't see the Sunday through Friday, bro.
And only 12 of them. Like, that's a 7-day a week.
An 8-day a week job, bro.
Yeah, dog. This job 7 days a week. I don't care what nobody say. For real.
Man, I saw Coach Beamer in December. Did I tell y'all that?
You said you're doing what?
I was in Vegas because they have like the Campbell and like the Hall of Fame induction. I saw Coach Beamer, and I was just standing. He came up behind me or whatever. Oh, and I was like, one of the best experiences, man.
You got lit with Beamer?
Nah. But y'all know, like, Coach Beamer was just such a good dude, humble dude, like down to earth.
Coach Beamer's
like
cool,
one of the, yeah, like one of the best people you can just meet. I don't know, like whenever I see, because I didn't realize how much I appreciated OU and like the people that like we played with or coach with. Like now, anytime I see anybody, it's just like, dang, like I really love you, dude. I didn't even realize I loved you this much. You know what I mean?
Time with each other. Bro.
I don't know. It's just something about that brotherhood.
We were slaves, dog. Like we were always together. Like we were some slaves. Like it could be 2 a.m. if you might get a text that we got a meeting at 10 a.m. and you gonna be in that meeting. Like they whipped us into shape all the time. Just come on.
What do you think of that?
Man, the crazy thing is like now like just being out in like the regular world, I hate like not being a one percenter, and I hate like being around people who don't think like one percenters. And I think, and I think this brings up a good point because I seen a video by David Goggins, and he was saying, because like the Navy SEALs training is like ridiculously intense. I think it was like a professor from Duke or something. He was saying, the tear gas, blah blah. Is it really necessary? I get the point that you're trying to get at through the training, but is it really necessary? And David Goggins has such a good response. He was like, I don't judge that guy. I don't blame that guy for thinking that or anything. Like, if anything, I understand what he was saying, but there basically he was saying there's 1%ers in the world and there's 99%ers, and the 99% they don't understand what those 1%ers do, why they do things the way they do, blah blah. And I think he said, Elon. He talked about how Elon Musk said Twitter is a place that you can go to be a top 1% software engineer in the world. And for some people, that makes them very, very uncomfortable. They're like, capitalism's evil, blah blah. But for some people, I think like the three of us, that's our dream, to be around something like that. And I think it's kind of everything is to each his own, and we have the choices to exist in environments that we want to. And I think the thing that kind of frustrates me is sometimes, like if Elon Musk, he bought Twitter and he wants to make it where 1%ers go. I mean, that's his choice. And if you don't align with that, there's plenty of alternative options. But for the people whose dreams and aspirations, like myself, are to go work like that, be at the forefront of innovation, be the top military force in the entire globe, or like us at OU, be consistent conference champions, contend for national champions. For us, if that's our goal and what we want to be, don't intrude on us. Let us, exist in our spirit.
Mind your own business. That's what it says in that Rich Dad Poor Dad too. It says the millionaires mind their own business. They say a new law might come out, or a new president comes in, and different laws change and all that. And there's all these taxes, and everybody's always worried about the richest taxes. You know who the richest taxes are worried about? The rich themselves. And that's why they always pay the least, because instead of worrying about who has to pay what, they're worried about themselves and how they have to pay as little as they can. And so they open up them books, get with their CPAs, and they figure out whatever way they got to do to make the smallest payment they can back to the government in the most legal way. I
kind of ran into that when I was trying to get in contact with private funds, because most of them aren't advertised, bro. I don't know. Most people, like, I didn't realize how quote unquote secretive these funds were, I guess, until I started doing most of my research, bro. Like, you can't go to Google or Yahoo or Bing and type in hedge funds or private hedge funds. Like, a few will pop up, but the biggest ones aren't even listed, otherwise outside of like Blackstone, BlackRock, all those other ones. But I'm like, bro, how am I supposed to get in contact with these people and they don't even got a website? Because so much of it is from word of mouth, bro. It's just like rich people know rich people. It's like, oh, who else you know? You know what I'm saying? It's like, if somebody were to ask me in 10 years, be like, yo, like, you trying to throw in a mill on this project or whatever, and they're going to be like, you know anybody else? I'll be like, yeah, I know Caleb, Pat, da-da-da-da-da. And we ain't finna go tell everybody, you know what I'm saying? We just going to throw in the mill and continue on about our day.
Throw it in. Right. If we tell the podcast at that point, we still telling the podcast what moves we making. Man, that's going to be the only way. And it's going to be paid by that time, paid subscription. So it's going to be a 1% that want to hear about our next move. You know what I mean?
I haven't been on like Instagram or Twitter or anything for like 2 weeks. And this is probably like the most locked in and happiest I've been.
Listen, so I still be on my TikTok, but I limit myself now. I'm limiting it. I be on TikTok because I just like to see. Right now, I'm looking at different fashion and stuff, so I just like to see what people are wearing. Because I might like to look good every once in a while. When the next time I step out, but Instagram and Twitter, I ain't touched it. I ain't sent a tweet out. I ain't done I don't know. I'm not feeling the vibe over there right now. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Every time I look, Fight Haven pops up, or some negative going on, somebody getting shot or school shooting or something. I'm just like, man, I just need to mind my business. I'm telling you, once I heard that in that book, it said, mind your business.
Speaking of the book,
just stay out the way for
Caleb,
a second.
do you regret buying the house? Like, you don't seem too keen on the house.
No, because eventually that'll be a rental house. And so eventually it'll be an asset. And then at that point, I'll have the money that I'm putting in, and that kind of becomes like the down payment for another asset. You know what I mean? So like if I was to put a bigger asset in or a bigger down payment down on this house, then I would be at wherever I'm at on the money scale. And so I'll be able to refinance here in a couple of years, and then it's just like I put a bigger down payment. My payments will be lower. I'll be able to charge the same for rent and rent it out, and then make money that way, and use now the next place as a rental and do it the right way that I'd be talking about, like do a duplex for my next one. And then after that, like I want to do, I think I really like in real estate and just in buying. I don't know about the Section 8 houses, but I don't know. There's just a lot of opportunity to make money. And so, and something I could do with Larson, my fiance. So I honestly have this dream that I can do something with her. And she loves interior design, and she loves, anything that goes into a house decoratively. And so I kind of like the other side. I like to see it being built. I like to see it working its way up, and I like flipping it and the money side of it. And so I don't know. That's just one potential thing that I could do with her. That's my dream.
Interior design. I feel like there's money to be made in that. Like,
there's money to be made because, it's not super specific on what you're charging. Like, people are doing it and making a lot of money, but it's how well can that person decorate, and that's something that's more subjective than anything. So you have your customer, you can please them, and they can be a real wealthy customer. Your tip could match whatever you're charging them, even, and it's just something that she's used to. And cutting hair, I mean, there's set prices, but then on top of that, her tips are different. And so one person that comes in really loves their haircut might give her an extra $2K or 200, not 2K. Dang, and she has a great day. You know what I mean? But then you go to interior design, and somebody might give you an extra 2K because they love it so much. And then you build up your clientele, and all of a sudden you're working for millionaires. 2K to a millionaire or a billionaire ain't nothing for a tip for them. So they're like, yeah, I'm with that. And you did this giant deal where you're getting paid $30K, $50K on this big house, and then they tip you $5K on top of it.
Decorate so, for Chad Ochocinco, like get a tip from him.
Yeah, real.
He be tipping. Y'all see his tips?
Hello,
bro.
Bye.
Huh?
Yeah.
What? Everything fake?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, like he be tipping like $1,000. Like
tips. I like tips like advice tips.
Yeah, he'll get like a $50 bill at a restaurant, bro, and tip like 500 or 1,000, and then like take a picture or write something funny and then post it. But
baller.
McDonald's guy, big McDonald's guy. His endorsement to McDonald's.
Ocho versus crazy. Science. I ain't surprised, bro.
He still got $30 million in the
bank. Yeah, bro, smart.
He drives his little smart car.
Yeah, that's honestly, bro.
He's not even.
I think that's the difference between like being rich and being wealthy. Like when you got enough money to basically just go do whatever you want, like you wealthy. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't gotta have the biggest house, best car, or whatever. He said, I think Chad said this one time, bro. When your name is bigger than anything you can buy or wear, then you ain't really gotta do nothing. Like he buys fake jewelry because he knows that people are gonna think it's real just because he Chad Ocho. Like,
yeah. Plus, them reps are getting really good.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. While I was up in New York, I went over to Nah,
I ain't gonna lie. Y'all are wilding right now.
No. I'm let's not 100 with you. If I wore some reps around you, I don't have any, but I'm going to get some. So I'm gonna wear some reps around you. You're gonna be like, man, I like your shoes. And I'm like, thanks. They're reps. Now we're gonna pull this back up.
Yo,
you can't,
bro. You can't tell the difference. There's no way.
It's principle to me though, but I mean, I don't even be buying
see,
stuff.
My rebuttal to that, Patrick, is that, bro, like people be out here, like for example, Nike and these shoes, bro, the shoes be like 110, but people resell for like 500. Yeah.
Right. Let me
If
go
you're a
get
fan
it
of
for
capitalism, Pat, you got to be a fan of the other side.
under
Well,
everybody.
yeah.
And also, you could resell that rep to somebody that's uneducated and
Okay,
make
Caleb, you
that
talking about
500. So
Robinson.
now I got
Look,
470 and a pair of shoes.
Look, I don't have no problem with people selling fakes, whatever it is. But I'm saying me, principle, I can't do
Yeah.
that, man. It's just law.
I don't have anything fake yet, but
Look, I personally,
it's right there.
I don't
It's
either,
on the way.
but
Like,
let's just say I wouldn't be mad if one of y'all had, you know, yeah.
like a
Nah,
fake
that's
Louis
wild. That's
belt.
wild.
Like, they make the same thing every year. Like they're coming out with a new season every season, like a new pack, a new bag, a new every season. Like they're gonna go look it up.
How was y'all
Nobody cares
Valentine's
that
Day? I
much.
know y'all both got, booze or whatever.
Expensive, yeah, expensive.
Like how expensive? Like, can we get a range?
Yo,
15 on it.
what? Yo, this man saw my wearing fake stuff and spent $1,500 on Valentine's Day.
I bought the dining table for the crib.
Oh,
That was $1,200, and I bought a $300 shoes
Okay.
plus flowers. So it was really $250 shoes plus
Okay.
flowers and all the little
right.
chocolates and all that. I'm a lover boy, man. I'm a romantic.
bro, you scared me. I was about to
Okay,
say,
the
bro, we
dynasty-
gotta end the show.
I knew you always
We
go
gotta
fast
talk
forward. I
off
said that.
air because
Yeah, you're.
Yeah, I bought the dining table, man. I didn't say this for Valentine's Day. Yeah, y'all about had a heart attack over there. No words. Hey, what's crazy is though, y'all believe it. Like y'all know that's something I would do. That's the problem.
You're the lover boy.
I'm an impulse guy. I am a lover boy, but I am an impulse guy. Right now, I'm trying to fight my impulse to get some tattoos.
Hey,
But this book has helped me.
Hey,
Because every day I'm
for
hearing
tats, you know what I'm
is that an
saying?
asset? No.
I think that's a great
know,
investment.
I
I think
know.
that's therapy. Women get their hair done. I get tattoos. Hey, I gotta spend my haircut
like,
money
let's
somewhere. You
chill.
know what
You
I'm
need to get some
saying?
implants in your head.
Let's chill.
Yeah, you save it up,
let's
huh?
chill. Let's chill.
10 weeks.
Let's chill.
Dude, you got a whole
Yeah, bro.
1,000
I
in 10
lost my
weeks the
hair
way
right on
haircuts
time.
been now. It's $100 a trip.
I remember paying $20 for a cut. I see people on Twitter talking about something. If you ain't paying $100 for your haircut, you ain't real.
Yeah, but who is that guy though that said that?
Yeah, but like let's
think so.
not get into
It's
social
the
media.
J
'cause,
Rose.
like,
Jalen Rose said that.
Pat, you don't want to talk about it?
Yeah, but anything Jalen Rose say, I ain't gonna lie, he
like
tripped.
let's not get, because like I understand he said that from the position that he's in, but like people on social media don't even live in reality. Like, I mean, I go home and I see people with, like what is it, like satchels or like fanny packs or whatever, the Louis Vuitton ones or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And then-
right now.
And then, go back to an apartment that's, ran down, whatever it is. So it's like, I mean, people's priorities aren't right. People can say whatever it is, if you don't spend this, yada, yada, yada. But you don't have to paint your full reality on social media. And I think, like, unfortunately, what we define as being real and all this other stuff, like, I don't think that
From
we should
people
get our
who aren't,
definitions
yeah.
from
I hear what
social
you're
media.
saying.
And I don't know, man. Because, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I went to, I had lunch, I think a week or two with this one gentleman. He was a partner at one of the big private equity firms. So, I mean, y'all can imagine how much, he's been able to make in his lifetime. But he didn't have a Rolex on or anything. And I I met a lot of the guys I meet. They'll be wearing Apple Watches. Won't even be wearing, you know, a Rolex, a Patek, or any of that
What
stuff.
series is that?
But it's us that'll be, you know, trying to get all this crazy, ridiculous stuff. So I don't know, man. I can't.
Rolex. You can get cheap Rolex for $5,000.
Spending unnecessary money, right? When I was a freshman, we went to the Rose Bowl. I think I dropped like $600 on shoes. Haven't done it since. In 2021, went to San Antonio, right? This is our last game. Yeah, our last game at OU.
All of our last game.
Me and Braden went to the mall. I bought $1,000 chain. Lost the chain. Never again. Never buying it again. Never. And like unless $1,000 becomes $1 to me and I can just throw it away, I'm not doing it again. You know.
Let you know right now, $1,000 should never be $1 to you. And this is a hand me down from my great granddad, and then this other one is only like $700. So. But the hand me down is like it gives you that I can't ever lose it. Like it gives you that sense of responsibility.
Never again. Like I done had my life lessons, bro. Like I wore my Fitbit to the point the face fell off, it broke, and then my mom bought me the Apple Watch. That's the only reason I have an Apple Watch. I didn't even pay for it. So I'm very like I'm gonna hold on to my money. I'm gonna spend my money on somebody else before I spend it on myself. But no chains and stuff for J Hall. I'm sorry,
man. But I think the issue is not necessarily in like what it is that we purchase. It's like how you go about it, and if you do it in a financially responsible way. Because I think whenever you think about our culture, especially as Black people, like it's a lot of power in our culture from a music standpoint, from an appearance standpoint. And I think we are, and we kind of set the stage a lot of times for fashion, especially streetwear, what people wear and what maybe how people style themselves and stuff like that. So I don't think there's an issue in it. I think there's a lot of power in it. But I think what it is you just have to do it in a financially responsible way. And I think whenever you're not doing it in a financially responsible way and you know, you're trying to incentivize others to do it like that, I think that's where the issue lies, man. Because I mean, if you can afford to purchase those things, then hey, go for it. But if you're putting yourself in debt and you know you faking on the internet, I think that's
not the way to go. It's not sustainable. Plus, all these things, like especially when you think about, like I even like jewelry more than I like clothes, because jewelry I wear every single day. Like I'm getting use out of it. But when I go buy clothes, it's like I'm bought this shirt. I'm probably gonna wear this shirt 10 times to 12 times max. And if I do, like I gotta space it out over such a long period of time. It's like it's really just taking up space, and it's just not something that's gonna make it worthwhile. And so I feel like a lot of times when I'm making decisions on what I want to buy or what I don't, it's like, how much use am I going to get out of that thing? And then you can get into with clothes like, well, then it becomes vintage and you can sell it back for more and all that. But how long does it take to get your return on your investment? Like it's the same thing as business. It's the same thing as everything should be a business statement is what Bolin told us. And I think about that every time. Like everything should be a business statement, and everything's a business equation.
This morning, and one of the guys said something about being smart with their money, and I told him, I said, bro, most people think about, especially when you're getting paid paycheck to paycheck, they think about what they can afford monthly. And you know, I stay with Rocky, y'all know him, and I studied for my exam. By the way, y'all, for our listeners, my Series 3 exam is next Monday. It's the 23rd right now. I'm excited. But anyways, at the car dealership, they're always emphasizing their monthly payments because that's where the car dealership makes money, on the monthly payments. But most people don't think about how interest accumulates over time. Like most people look at a $300 85 monthly payment and be like, oh, it's only $300 a month. I'm good. I can afford this Hellcat. Let's go. Yeah, and then you in it for 85 and long story short, they're making $15,000 on a car that's depreciating. And that's the crazy thing about it. And I feel like a lot of people in our community, not just athletes or us or just whoever, but minorities in general, we don't think about that stuff. The interest accumulating on some of this stuff, bro. And I'm just like, bro, like, I may not know it all, but one of the biggest things in Rich Dad Poor Dad, Caleb, he's like, use your cash as an asset. You don't have to put it, like, granted, like, make it work for you, but don't go put it somewhere where it doesn't need to be. Yeah.
Don't save. And that was the biggest thing I took. Don't save. Like, if you're just saving money, it's just sitting, like, there's no interest on that. Like, speaking of the interest that you're talking about, like, we don't gain interest in the savings account. Usually you're paying actually to have a savings account. So you probably lost $150 just to open up that savings account. And so they say, go put it in the asset, whether it's a small stock or a short stock, or it's a whatever you want to put, a Roth IRA, whatever you got to go do, open up, like, go get something that's going to accumulate. But he also talked about, like, mutual funds and kind of being against that too. But
because you want it in short-term securities in case you need to liquidate any of your money quickly so you can use it for whatever. But yeah, you should be making all your money be put to work. Because like in The Rich Man in Babylon, the way he would personify money as like as a slave for us, and to make money our slave and to make it work for us. And I think a lot of times it's the opposite. We become a slave to money because of our indulgences, our desires for whatever material things that we want to purchase.
It was in The Richest Man in Babylon, Pat, tell me if I'm wrong, but one of the biggest lessons I learned out of that book was from a small story, right? So I think it went something like this, right? This guy gave, I think, 3 different people like $100 or something like that. And he was like, I'm going to leave and I'm going to come back. And he was like, I just want my money back or something like that, right? Well, one guy took the money and he buried it. And then he gave it back to him. All right. And then one guy, he took the money and I think he like doubled it or something like that. And then another guy, he took the money and like quadrupled it. And so then the guy came back, and then the guy that buried it, he gave him back his $100 or whatever. And he was like, okay, all right, whatever. And then the other guy, I think he made a little bit of money or lost something. He was like, okay, whatever. And then the other guy, he took his money and then, flipped it or whatever. He was like, here, take some more or whatever. But like just that little example right there, I'm like, yo, just like, like that's the game within the game.
Well, the points in it, I think are, so like the person who just buried it and brought it back, I think I remember because I read that one too. He said that the money isn't worth the same now, so you actually lost me money because he's like inflation. So now like that $100 just sitting in your savings account, like it's actually not doing anything for you, and the value of money is constantly going down. So you're actually losing money that you don't think about. And so then he said for the guy who flipped it and like just doubled it, it was like, okay, you did it, but you did it in a safe way, and you knew that I was going to come back. And so it was like, why were you so careful? Like if you had success, why didn't you go do it again? Or why didn't you just do it once and be like, all right, I'm done. And then that just is like a metaphor for people that they do one thing right. They make money, they get that good job, and they just satisfied instead of going and doing it and making a bunch of money and having a bunch of different assets the way that the other guy quadrupled it. It was like he had his money in multiple places. He had multiple guys go out and try and make the money himself. Like he basically did the same thing that the guy did and put his money in those guys. And then the one that brought back the most, he continued to flow money through that way. And so that's the metaphor for you have multiple assets. The asset that makes you the most money, obviously you put the most money in there, but the other assets you can do, and they can be a long-term one and there can be a short-term one, like Pat just said.
Bottle up some of the information we talk on here and like put it in a PowerPoint and send it to the freshmen and the sophomores at OU or something.
Hey, I got the freshman class every week during the season. We do a weekly meeting. I'm giving them all kind of game. That's when I usually call you and I'm like, I got an idea for the pod after I just went and just lectured the freshmen. But yeah.
Man, a big thing I've been thinking about, because I was studying like some of the stuff in the education system in America, and I won't get too much into that but it's crazy the amount of inefficiencies that exist. But the biggest thing that I kind of like think about sometimes, and I think this goes into, you know, it being Black History Month and us and all of our efforts through different ways, trying to, you know, change the culture, trying to move the needle forward for Black people. And I think like looking back in my own life, and especially with a lot of our peers at OU, I think sometimes whenever somebody says like school isn't for me or like math isn't for me, and we're kind of just like, you know, okay, it's fine or whatever the case is, like that can be very, very detrimental to people. And like, I'm not saying like, you know, force people to do stuff, but a lot of times people in the position they are, especially whenever they're young, they can't understand the long-term impacts. And as parents, you know, mentors, whatever the case is, I think we need to be a little bit harder. But if you know, somebody would have told me at like middle school that it was okay that school or math or whatever wasn't for me, then like I wouldn't have been able to have a career in accounting, finance, engineering, tech, shucks, and all the other different disciplines that require a high level of mathematics. And whenever you look at the high income track careers and the ways to build wealth, like you completely bar yourself off whenever you say, oh, math isn't for me or school isn't for me. And not to say you can't make it in other ways, but you just make it a lot more difficult on yourself. And I think life is already as hard as it is. No matter what you are, life isn't fair, and it's a higher probability that you lose than you win. And I think we need to present people with the best options for their life and to be able to put them in a position to have the most optionality. So I think that's the thing that's been like very much on my mind here lately, is like, why do we do that so much? Like, why do we tell people that it's just not okay, or that tell people that it's okay to like not be good at math or like not like school?
Even when people tell you it is okay and somebody else tells you it's not, why do we gravitate towards the negative? And why do we gravitate towards fear? And I think fear is a huge topic. I think we can do a whole podcast on fear, but just in short, and everything we talked about in investments and going and starting a company and going and living out your dream, going and choosing a different company to work for and creating assets. Like there's a lot of fear you got to get over. And in life, like you're saying, like especially our culture, like if we hear no, people are like, oh, I can't. And it's like, no, that's just that person's opinion, that person's experience. You can do whatever you want.
I think that obviously everybody's situation is different and to each their own.
Right.
But I was talking to my mom the other day, and y'all should know at the some point this year she's gonna retire. I think at the top of the year. She's gonna retire and get a new job, but she doesn't know where at. She just knows that she wants to move into project management because like that's just her area. Yeah. She's back in school.
Because you got her to go back to school.
And it's kind of funny because we're both changing careers at the same time. Like I'm going from football to the real world. She's going from her previous job to a new job. And we both kind of said this the other day on the phone. I said this, Mom. I said, Mom, I don't know where I'm going, but my feet are moving. in terms of just taking this test. And I just sat there and thought about it. I'm like, you know, this is kind of just like life. And I feel like a lot of people just don't even take that first step, you know, like they're so scared to like do the math or push themselves to even get to college. Or most people ask, should I go to college? Because they want to hear somebody tell them that they shouldn't, so that way they don't have to try to, or something like that. Or it may be a different situation. But granted, man, if most people could just get their feet moving just a little bit, and somebody else is going to help you push. You may start chasing somebody else, then you're running. Next thing you know, you're starting a podcast with 3 people. You don't even know what you're doing, but you just talking about good stuff and hoping it turns out well, like us. And who knows, man? But yeah, as long as your feet are moving.
Don't forget falling on your face 1,000 times.
Like,
man,
that's how you learn, man. I don't believe in fail. I believe in you either do something right or you do something to learn about something. And,
right.
Man, I've learned a lot, and I'm going to keep learning a lot, because I don't want to be the guy who just sat there and accepted his current situation. I want to be the guy that kept going.
yeah.
And it'll probably add life to us. It'll probably keep you young, and it'll just teach your kids and teach all those that are watching you, like, I can just keep going, and there's always going to be another option to make money, to live life. To
you didn't know buying a house would be so stressful. Look at you now.
Right. Man,
or having a house.
I love my house, though. It's a beautiful house. Y'all don't pull up enough, but I don't need y'all to.
I'm gonna pull up next week.
Pull up next week. I'll be here.
Pull up next week. Man, and I was going to say another thing that was on my mind I wanted to say during this as well, is I think we need to take like greater control and like accountability of our lives. And I think in a lot of ways we look to like other people to tell us what to do, and whether that's like looking to the education system now, like looking to TikTok to educate us on like what being real means, like what being this means, what being cool means, whatever the case is. And I think in our communities, like parents need to have like a greater role, big brothers, like mentors and all that, because I think the issue right now is like we're getting all this information from so many different directions for kids at a young age, and it's confusing. And I think it just needs to be because I was reading a book, and I wasn't even trying to like learn about Black history, but I was learning about like a lot of successful Blacks, some of the history of like Philadelphia and other like successful Black cities. It's like, man, I never knew this. Like I never knew in some of these cities, like Black people earned more than like white people. The employment rate for Blacks was way higher than whites. And I was kind of thinking like, you know, whose fault is this? And I quickly want to be like, man, why didn't the school system teach us this? But you know, how easy could it have been for, and not to excuse how difficult people's lives are, but just to take another step and push past discomfort. Like, what if my mom would have been like, man, Black History Month, I want you to submit me a report every single week on these different topics. You know what I'm saying? Just implementing small things like that, I think can have so much effect in our lives. But I think the issue is right now we look to other people too much, whether that's look into these group of people, this institution, whether that's a school, whether that's the government, or whatever the case is, rather than like looking at it from the perspective of, you know, things are messed up. That is a reality. But like, what can I do in my life to make it better? And I think that goes to like the representation standpoint, because I think a lot of times on media, different ethnic groups are portrayed in certain different ways that may be disproportionately representative to what they actually are. But that goes back to, we need to take more control of our lives. Like, let's not get our images from media or whatever institutions. Let's get our images through research, education, and like what things really look like. So yeah, that's a
I like that, man. I point one finger at you. I got 3 pointing back at me. You know what I mean?
Write that
Take
down.
some accountability.
That's real. That's a good one.
Title. How can we make that the title?
Look at Big Papa right there, huh?
Point one finger. How do you say that? Point one finger.
Yeah, that's a good title. I like that. Point one finger at, if I point one finger at you, I'm pointing 3 back at me.
Yeah. Yeah,
yes, sir.
Write that down.
Yeah, that's real.
People,
Podcast on the prairie over paper, bro. Man. I said podcast on the prairie. People over paper.
Nah, I see. Pat, we'll continue our conversation on taking control of educating ourselves as well as other people next episode, because I feel like that's some good stuff.